What is everybody? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. We're not going to waste any time throughout this live. We will be going over a couple of the videos in terms of what transpired today in the courtroom. 314 supplemental reports were made available, and I downloaded them all. I think the site has been crashing, so figured what you guys are looking at. They're already printed and everything. So it's been a day. This is what we're looking at. The first report here, everybody was, you're making your reports. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Oops. There you go. So all of these initial reports right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, see where it says the sequence number. This is the time that it was wrote up. So this dates and timestamp is when the report was wrote. And so the first one, the first one technically is this, the general narrative outline. This is the Spielman, and I'm going to save that because it gets broken down a little bit differently. And it has, like, for example, let me go to a page like this. We're going to sort through all the different items. So somebody's been working on this for a hot minute. I will tell you that. Someone's been working on it for a hot minute to get it all out. Like, so when it would be all out. I asked them they were ready for it for trial. You know what I mean? So the redactions were already made for the most part, which is nice. So what you're looking at is, this is from one of the first Warner. He wrote it up at 16:49 hours, but here's the narrative. As I arrived, Officer Nunes advised over the air it appeared to be a homicide. I saw a small group of females outside the home in the parking lot. One female advised their roommate was on the second floor and needed help. I went to Officer Nunes' location at the west bedroom on the second floor and passed a male in the living room, later identified as HJ. Officer Nunes advised the female and a male in the bedroom had blood on them and appeared to be beyond help. I walked out of the bedroom toward Johnson and saw a clean steak knife on a beer pong table. I pointed out the knife to Nunes. Jay said he got the steak knife from the kitchen because he arrived and saw the female on the bedroom floor covered in blood and did not know if there was anyone else present in the room. Jay said he checked the room with the knife for protection. Officer Nunes and I walked to the first floor entrance with H. I asked the females and H if there was anyone else in the apartment, and they did not know. I told Officer Nunes the home was not secure, and we started that process. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. Okay. On the third floor, in the southeast bedroom, I saw two clothed females. Again, this is trigger warning to everybody. They were lying on the bed, and their backs appeared. They were laying on their backs, and they appeared deceased. One female on the left side of the bed, in relation to the bedroom door, had an extreme amount of lacerations to her face and upper body, which made her unrecognizable. That's the same thing that WSU Kim told me. The other female had multiple lacerations on her upper body and some blood on her face. I walked to the far side of the bed to determine if the female on the right was beyond help. I saw the female's leg was off the edge of the bed and it had lividity. Once I noticed the lividity in the female's leg, I backed out of the room. Officer Nunes and I checked the rest of the third floor and saw it was clear. There was a poodle in the west bedroom on the bed, which was later taken to the Humane Society by the Latah County Sheriff's Office. After clearing the home, I briefly interviewed Jay, and I believe that that's Johnson. Jay said he was at his apartment and his girlfriend, Emily, received a phone call from one of the girls who lived at 1122 King Road. Jay said Emily was called by one of the residents who said that they could not wake the female on the floor. That would mean that they would have went upstairs. But again, this was all past in translation. Jay said that he came over to the home at approximately 5 to noon. Jay said that he saw the female on the floor in the bedroom and did not see the male on the bed, who he identified as Ethan, before grabbing the knife. That he didn't see him. He leaves the room, goes and grabs the steak knife. Jay said that he entered the bedroom and checked the female's pulse and found none. Jay said that he did not check Ethan and left the home. I thanked Jay for talking with me and told him he could go stand with Emily, who was with her other friends, or other residents rather, in front of the house. Again, this is each one of these reports that you guys are going to see is the initial reports of everybody that responded to the house initially. I stood by the front door and started the crime scene log. So this is the first person that started the crime scene log, and then it would get passed around. Sergeant Gunderson relieved me for approximately 3 minutes so I could get my gloves during my time at the front door. At approximately 3:02 p.m., I was relieved by Officer Rosinsky, who took possession of the crime scene log and returned to the station. At approximately 3:28 p.m., I came back to the scene and relieved Officer Smith, who was standing at the rear sliding glass door, which was found open when officers arrived. I remained at the back door until I was relieved by Officer Nunes at approximately 16:28, which is 4:28. Again, this was the report by Warner. Next report in sequence number 3. It was typed up by Mitch Nunes at 18:48 hours on 11/13. Okay. On 11/13/2022, at approximately 11:56 hours, This is from Nunes. Nunes responded to an unconscious subject at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. Upon my arrival, I found a large gathering of people in the parking lot immediately north of the 1122 King Road residence. 1122 King Road is a white 3-story single-family residence with multiple bedrooms. The 1122 designation is located directly above the front door, facing north. I was directed to a bedroom on the second floor by H.J. in the northwest corner to locate the unresponsive female. Upon entering the room, I observed a female laying supine on the floor on her back next to a bed. According to DM, this female was likely Kaylee. D also lived at 1122 King Road. I observed dried blood surrounding Kaylee's body and signs of cutting trauma to her face. Kaylee was covered in so much blood, I wasn't able to immediately discern where any additional injuries would have likely been. Kaylee was apparently deceased due to her pale skin color, rigid body tone, and apparent blood loss. Obviously, there's some miscommunication here. On the bed in the same room, I observed Kaylee. I observed a male laying supine on the bed. According to D, I'm guessing is Dylan, the male was likely Ethan. Dylan said that Ethan was commonly at the residence. I observed blood covering portions of Ethan's legs surrounding his body into the bed sheets and drops of blood on the wall near Ethan's head. As I backed out of this room, H showed me a kitchen knife and said he had it in his possession. I told H to leave the knife and go back down the stairs to the front entrance. Officer Warner and I moved to visibly clear the residence for any suspects. So I don't know if there was a mistake there and the person didn't understand what Dylan was saying on who would have been in that bedroom. They were writing the name Kaylee. Okay. So they were looking for any additional suspects or additional victims. On the third floor, Officer Warner and I found 2 additional, apparently deceased females, both lying supine in a bed. This bedroom was on the southwest corner of the third floor. According to D, which I'm guessing is Dylan, these 2 females were likely Xana and Madison. One female showed an apparent traumatic injury to her face due to the basic facial structure being unrecognizable. Both females showed very pale skin. Both females were covered in dry blood and apparently deceased. After the residence was deemed safe, Officer Warner and I exited the residence to secure it and the immediate area, to include the parking lot immediately to the north of the residence. I walked outside and began interviewing D. D told me at approximately 4 o'clock she heard a voice scream and believed it to be Kaylee's. D said she heard Kaylee scream and announced there was somebody inside the residence. DM said she could hear Kaylee run from the third floor, down the stairs to the second floor, into the northwest bedroom. DM said she locked herself in her bedroom and continued to hear a commotion. DM said eventually she stopped hearing a struggle and heard a male voice say, "You're going to be fine. I'm going to help you." DM said she did not recognize the male's voice. DM said after a few minutes, she peeked out of her bedroom and observed a male described as approximately 6 feet tall, slim build with a black ski mask, leave the second floor patio area. This patio door was likely left open as it was found open upon my arrival. I interviewed an additional roommate, BF, who told me she was at the residence during the commotion. BF said she was on the second floor in the living room watching Vampire Diaries with DM, and an unidentified person named LB said at approximately 2 on 11/13/2022. Oh, and an identified named. Okay, hold on. That's why I was wrong. Okay, so here, that they were watching Vampire Diaries with DM and an unidentified person named L. BF said at approximately 2 on 11/13/2022, Madison and Kaylee came home from a night out at the Corner Club bar located in Moscow, Idaho. Bethany said she also believed Madison and Kaylee went to the Grub wandering kitchen truck that was commonly located in the 300 block of South Main Street. Bethany said that she and Madison let Maddie's dog out, Murphy, sometime between 2 and 2:30. So obviously it wouldn't have been Maddie, it's Kaylee's dog. Bethany said during this time, she observed no suspicious activity. Bethany said she returned inside. So during the time that they were outside between 2 and 2:30, she observed no suspicious activity. Bethany said that she returned inside while Madison was still outside with Murphy. So I don't know if she means Madison or if she means Kaylee. Bethany said that she went to bed around 2:30. Bethany said that Madison came into her bedroom sometime after 2:30 to ask her if she knew where Murphy was. Bethany said she told Madison no, and Madison left. Bethany said she woke up in her bedroom, which was located on the first floor, to a sound she described as a firecracker and a flash. Oh my God. Oh. Bethany said she initially thought the sound was a prank. According to Bethany's phone log she showed me, Bethany called Xana at 4:21, Ethan at 4:22, Madison at 4:22, Madison again at 4:30, and then Kaylee at 4:31. Bethany said she never received an answer on each phone call. Bethany said she went back to sleep and woke up around 11:56 when 911 was called. Oh my gosh. Boy. Initially, I was told Kaylee was likely located on the second floor bedroom with Ethan. After comparing DM's initial statement with other investigators or investigation officers' observations, it appeared to actually be Xana that was located on the floor of that bedroom, and Kaylee was one of the other females located in the third floor room. I also observed the following vehicles in the gravel parking lot that was immediately north of the 1122 King Road house. Oh boy. We know the vehicles that were there. So here we go. I was originally assigned to identify all of the people in the area. However, I was reassigned by Sergeant Gunderson to begin the search warrant application process. I provided the above information in the search warrant application. At approximately 16:28 hours, I returned to 1122 King Road to assist with securing the southwest patio entrance. I took responsibility from Officer Warner in documenting who entered and exited the residence. I provided this documentation on a notepad and maintained the log until I was relieved by Officer Morris at approximately 1750 hours. The following information is the rear patio entry log from 1517 hours until 2115 hours. I'll be breaking this down all in a different, episode, but report 3. Every time I think of flashbang, just so you guys know, it brings me flashbacks to what Bryant Kapaka had being thrown, a flashbang. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You don't hear a flash, you see a flash. On 11/13/2022, again, now this is report, as you guys can see, it's in sequential order, for Brian Snyder. Okay. On 11/13/2022 at approximately noon, I responded to 1122 King Road for the report of an unresponsive subject. Upon my arrival, I noticed that there were several college-age subjects out front of the address. I was directed to use police caution tape for the crime scene. As I was working around the residence, I noticed the back door was open and there were footprints in the snow coming from the back door on the back porch. Officer Smith took photos of these prints with a measuring tape. He watched the backyard area to make sure no one else came into the area. I noticed there were a few footprints that left toward the west of the backyard. This portion of the backyard is connected to 2 other residences. Oh boy. 1118 and 1126. So they weren't going back around left up to where the parking lot area is. This would be going towards the houses. Again, both of those houses are directly to the west. The footprints appear to lead west toward King Road between the residents, but I was unable to see where the footprints went after the yards connected due to the amount of rock landscape. I also was unable to discern how old these prints were. There had not been recent snowfall. What? With Sergeant Gunderson, I entered the residence to continue taking photos of the scene. Imagine that. Something that Karen Reed people did not do. I entered through the bottom floor, main door on the north side. I took photographs of the rooms and living areas of the residence. The photos were downloaded onto a CD and booked into evidence that has to be off of his cell phone. The photos were labeled in this report with a brief description of each report, a brief description of each photo. As I was down the road of the address near the King Road and Queen Road intersection, I was approached by a college-aged male who identified himself as Jay, I'm guessing Jack. He informed me he lived at blank King Road apartment. He stated his blank lived upstairs at 1122 King Road, which I'm guessing is ex-girlfriend. And they shared a dog that was there. Currently. Jack did not appear to have obvious wounds on his hands, as I would assume the suspect possibly would. Officer Nunes was interviewing subjects about the situation. I asked Jack if he would wait inside Officer Nunes' police car so we could talk with him. He agreed to. I informed Sergeant Gunderson of the circumstance involving Jack. Jack later responded to the police department to be interviewed and then picked up the dog from the Moscow Humane Society shelter. I continued to canvass the area and speak with neighbors at blank who stated that they did not hear or see anything relevant. I spoke with subjects at blank King Road. One resident, I'm guessing that's DL, stated she was walking home from the corner club at about 3 a.m. and thought she could hear music or some type of noise, but she couldn't give any clarifying information more than that due to her level of intoxication that night. I spoke with subjects at blank King Road. The majority of them stated that they were out drinking at the corner club and got a ride back to their place at about 1:30 and went to sleep around 2. They did not hear anything out of the ordinary. Blank King Road, blank resident BP stated about 4 o'clock in the morning, he heard a barking dog coming from the east of his residence. He believed it was the dog at 1122 King Road, as he thought that was the only dog in the area. He said that the dog sounded like it was outside and was barking for about 45 minutes until he believed someone must have let it inside at about 4:45 when it stopped. Period. B stated he had a female with him in bed at the time who also heard the dog barking at this time. So far, Ann Taylor has not given any incorrect statements. And in fact, the dog barking at 4 is before 4:17. But I spoke with the residents at blank King Road. I'm guessing that's a P and a C. PC informed me that they had a camera facing the west of the address that they believe captures a portion of the road. They first provided me with the SIM card out of the camera. However, they could not get it to work, and neither could I. They gave me the username and the password to the camera. I informed Detective Mowry of the information, and they gave me permission to access the camera footage and record the necessary surveillance video. I cleared the scene at about 5:49 p.m. Again, and this is all the photos that he took. So, key on retaining wall north of 1122 parking lot. Key back seat of the front seat, the VINs, the driver's side of the one car. Again, we'll go over that. Oh, wow. Oh, God, they went around and got all the pictures. God, look at that. And got all the pictures in the area of those vehicles that, again, I'll go over this way more in depth. Oh, boy. Okay. This is number 5 here. This is Dahlinger, and this is what he says. There's also an interview on here, and see how it says J, and then there's a K. So that's part of it. And so his narrative is that Dahlinger on November 13th, 2022, at approximately 12:53 hours, I arrived on scene and spoke with Gunderson, Lawrence, and they gave me a brief overview of the information gathered at the time. Sergeant Lawrence informed me the Idaho State Police were going to assist in the investigation and were organizing to respond to the scene. Sergeant Lawrence responded to the police department to begin interviews. I remained on scene on the perimeter awaiting further information. Approximately 1 hour later, a male approached the scene and began speaking with Sergeant Gunderson. The male was identified as, there's the letter J and then a K. So I don't know if it's Jack Katovich. I don't know. That seems like a longer name than a Jack. But I overheard Jay state his daughter, Jeff Kernoodle, stated his daughter lived in the 1122 King Roadhouse, and he had been trying to get in touch with her, but was unsuccessful. It was also learned that, Jeff's daughter, Jasmine, was nearby the scene. I asked Jeff if he and Jasmine could come to the police department to speak with me. Jeff agreed, and I returned to the police department. I contacted Sergeant Lawrence at the police department and asked him if he had the names of the victims. Sergeant Lawrence stated that he did and gave me the list. I saw one of the victims' names was Xana. They spelled it wrong, though. I then met with Jeff and Jasmine in the interview room off of the police department lobby. Once in the room, I activated the audio and video recording equipment. I asked Jeff and Jasmine for their information, and they both handed me their Arizona driver's license. After writing down their information, I asked Jeff what the name of his other daughter was. Jeff told me her name was Xana. I then informed Jeff and Jasmine that Xana was identified as one of the victims. That's so awful. Oh, that's so... And that she was deceased. Both Jeff and Jasmine became very upset and were crying heavily. I asked Jeffrey and Jasmine when the last time that they communicated with Xana was. Jeff stated she texted with Xana on 11/11 at approximately 1700 hours. That'd be 5 on Friday. Or we don't know if that was, they're both blacked out. So I don't know if that was the Jeffrey one and that was the Jasmine one. And then right here said, so it was stated she texted with, so that's got to be her sister. And then Jeff stated that text messages were brief and were not of any substance. Jay said that he texted Xana on 11/11 at around 15:40 hours, and she responded stating that she was at work. What? They started drinking on Friday at noon. Doesn't make any sense. He said that Jeff said that he spoke with Xana on the phone on 11/11 at approximately 9:40 when they spoke about going to the WSU football game. I asked Jeff where Xana worked, and he said at Mad Greek. I asked both Jeff and Jasmine if Xana had mentioned anything about having any issues with anyone or anything strange occurring lately. Both of them said Xana had not said anything, and that she had a boyfriend named Ethan, who she had been dating for about 6 months or so. Everything seemed fine in their relationship, and I don't know if it was, let's see, added how he met Ethan's parents in passing this weekend. What? That he met Ethan's parents in passing this weekend, or was it last weekend? These people don't even listen. That doesn't make any sense. Or maybe he just met them, right before he went to the police department? It should be noted that Jeff was in town visiting, as he resides in Arizona, and it was Washington State University's parents' weekend. I asked Jeffrey and Jasmine if there was anyone they wished me to contact for them, or if they wished to speak with anyone such as a member of the clergy. Both told me no. I gave them both my business card and informed them our detectives would be in contact with them in the near future. Jeff and Jasmine then left the police department. Good thing that was audio-video recorded, as a lot of these are. Again, guys, this is really, really raw. I just printed these off. I have not even looked them over. But because everybody was going pretty wild, it's like, listen, we're going to just calm down, here's some documents, and just breathe. Just breathe. Again, going then in order. This is number 6. So this is wrote up now. Again, it's not when it necessarily happened. It's when the report was written. That's what that date is. So Aaron Morris on 11/13/2022 at around 1300 hours. So it's like 1. I was advised by Barrett to respond to work due to a homicide investigation. I was told to remain available for calls for service. At around 16:30 hours, so about 4:30, I relieved Officer Rosinsky on the north side of 1122 King Road. I was stationed for scene security and helped keep a log of who entered and exited the crime scene. Officer Smith entered at 5 and exited at 5:25. ISP Talbot entered at 5 and left at 5:40. Corporal Brett Payne entered at 5. So I don't, there's a discrepancy then, because I think it was saying that they got there at like 4 in the PCA. And he exited at 5:23. Jennings entered at 5:38. Oh, I'm sorry. She entered at 5:03 and exited at 5:23. So they went through together. Jennings and Payne. ISP Jake entered at 5:25 and left at 5:38. ISP Gideon entered at 5:25 and exited at 5:39. Sergeant Blaker entered at 5:28 and exited at 5:40. It's interesting. I always assumed that Blaker and Payne went through together. Payne entered out. Oh, there they go. He goes with him then again. So when Blaker got there, he went. Then Payne goes with him. There you go. So Payne went through the first time with Jennings. And then Payne leaves. And then when Blaker gets there, then those two go through from 5:28 to 5:38 for 10 minutes. Oh, boy. Officer Sterick relieved me from the north side of the residence, and I went to the south side to relieve then Officer Nunes at around 6. I stood at the rear of the residence for scene security. I assisted Sergeant Blaker in putting evidence tape on the sliding glass door on the south side of the residence. The tape was to ensure no persons tried to access the scene overnight. Number 7 here, John Lawrence. He said about noon, Captain Barrett called me and informed me that there had been multiple victims of a homicide located in a residence on King Road and requested all available detectives. I called Detective Vargas and was informed she was out of town and would be back in Moscow on Monday morning. Oh, boy. I called Detective Mowry, and he informed me he would be on his way shortly. I called ISP Lieutenant Mike Mooney, and he told and told him I needed assistance from ISP detectives in processing the crime scene. Lieutenant Mooney put me in contact with Sergeant Gilbertson. That's who you guys heard from today. There with Payne. I briefed Sergeant Gilbertson on what I knew, and he told me he would start to assemble his team. I responded to the scene where I met with Sergeant Gunderson. Sergeant Gunderson informed me that the officers were dispatched to an unconscious person at 1122 King Road, and that is when they found 4 deceased college-aged people in the residence. I told Sergeant Gunderson I needed someone from his team to return to the police department to start writing an affidavit for a search warrant. Sergeant Gunderson asked Officer Nunes to handle that task. Okay. I then did a very brief walkthrough of the residence. I entered the residence from the entrance on the north side of the building. That's going to be through the front door. Officer Warner, who was securing the scene, logged my entrance into the residence. I then went up the stairs and located a deceased female on the floor and a male in the bed in the west bedroom on the second floor. I climbed the stairs to the third floor and located 2 deceased females in the southeast bedroom. They were both in the bed. I spoke with Officer Smith, who was securing the residence at the south entrance for a moment. Then I exited the residence through the north entrance. Officer Warner noted my departure. I called Sergeant Gilbertson and informed him of the additional information provided to me and what I had seen. I told him MPD would be needing their assistance. I also told Sergeant Gilbertson MPD had an officer writing an affidavit for a search warrant. I returned to the police department where I met with Sergeant Blaker and Payne, whom I had called earlier, and requested they respond to the PD. At this time, Detective Mowry was at the police department. I requested they interview the other occupants of the residence where the deceased were located. There were also several friends of the deceased who had been with the deceased the night before. It's interesting that he doesn't say what he learned. and that they may have information of their whereabouts and who they were with prior to the murders. Those interviews started about 1:48 p.m. Those to be interviewed arrived at the PD at about 1:30. I put them in the training room and provided them with drinks and snacks. So this is what Ann Taylor is saying, that they were all in the same room. I put them in the training room. And provided them with drinks and snacks. I have yet to see anything that Ann Taylor has said so far that has not been accurate. That is what I'm looking for. There we go. Okay. Captain Lanier arrived and asked me how he could help. I requested he find officers that were not already tasked and complete a canvass of the neighborhood. Captain Lanier took care of the neighborhood canvassing. At about 2:23 hours, that was, I think that's Jasmine and the blank Xana arrived at the PD. He was informed of Xana. Yeah, that was when Captain Dahlinger had to break that information. Barrett informed me Ethan Chapin's family had been notified of Ethan's death. Hold on. Okay. Captain Barrett asked me to take care of the death notifications for Maddie and Kaylee. Captain Barrett provided me with the information the university had on file for Mogan and Gonsalves. Interesting, because I thought that Tyson Barrett was in charge of all of this. According to the book, which we all know that that's crap, there was no emergency contact information for either. So I called Kootenai County Dispatch due to Mogan and Gonsalves' home addresses being in Kootenai County. I provided blank, the KCSO dispatcher, of the addresses listed with the university for Madison and Kaylee. Interesting. I wonder if this is the same person that I think it is from that dispatch. I think it's Maya. She told me that she had the names blank and blank listed at the residence of the address provided for Kaylee. I requested a death notification for them. I was contacted by Deputy Mitch Jan from KCSO. He asked what he could tell the parents, and I informed him we knew very little at this time. A short time later, Deputy Jan called me and told me that when he arrived to give the notification, the parents were already aware. Oh boy. I also provided Madison Mogan's address, and this dispatch was not able to locate anyone with the name Mogan at that address. Mia said that she would send a Coeur d'Alene PD officer by the residence to make contact. A short time later, Officer Matt request I call him. When I made contact with Officer Matt, he told me blank, blank, and blank, blank, blank of Madison Mogan were driving to Moscow. About 20 minutes after my conversation with Officer Matt, the Laramie's arrived at the PD. Captain Barrett gave the death notification. Captain Barrett requested I interview them. I spoke with Scott and Karen in the lobby. They told me that they had a great relationship with Maddie. She had gotten along with everyone. She had a strong relationship with her boyfriend, who lives in Boise, and that she had just gone to Boise to see him the weekend prior. Madison and her boyfriend had been dating for about a year and a half, and her boyfriend is from blank area. I asked if there were any problems with past boyfriends, and there were none to their knowledge. I asked if Madison had mentioned any stalking behavior from anyone or anyone that made her uncomfortable. And she said never spoke of anything. The rest of my shift was spent allocating resources where they were needed. Well, isn't he just really detailed? Again, I'll be breaking these on all the way down. I'm just trying to give you guys the initial reports of the people that actually went to the scene initially. Oh, boy. This is report 8, and this is Rosinsky. You see this right here, which is K-bar follow-up, and I think that says PR interview. So we'll see. This is the first time that you see those words on a report out of the 1 through 7. The first time that this shows up. On 11/13/2022, I received a phone call advising me there was a quadruple homicide at 1122 King Road. I arrived to the Moscow Police Department, put on my police-issued uniform, and relieved Officer Warner at the above address, who was currently holding scene security and maintaining a log of who came in and out of the apartment at the front door, which is on the north side of the apartment. I was on scene for about 2 hours until I was relieved by Officer Morris, who took over my duties. The following day, so that's all he did on 11/13. As you can see here, then he goes on to, this is what he did then on 11/14. On the following day on 11/14, so as Ann Taylor would have been going through the discovery, if she's going through it in order and this is how it was presented, this would have been the first time that she would have ever seen this, which is right here. The following day on 11/14, I learned that a sheath was found inside the apartment. The sheath was tan in color and had a Marine Corps eagle, globe, and anchor. Symbol on the sheath, the words USMC were located underneath the EGA, and K-bar was above the EGA. That's the first that I was tasked to follow up with businesses in town to see if that particular knife was sold there. I followed up with the Tri-State Outfitters, Big Five. That's where that one kid worked. The Big Five sporting goods stores were that the one kid that was in one of the reports. I'll just leave it as that. Moscow Building Supply, Spence Hardware, and Walmart. Each of the above stores does not sell a K-bar brand knife. While at Walmart, I was speaking with a staff member who was showing me the knives on display. She told me about 2 to 3 weeks ago, a white college-age male asked for a black ski mask that would cover his face. Blank was unable to provide much detail other than he was taller than she was and maybe had tan skin complexion. Blank said she advised the male they did not have any black ski masks and only camo. This person said the male then walked away. Well, please tell me that you went on over to the manager and said, hey, how long did your cameras go back for? Like, 11/14, 2022 at about 11:45 hours, I spoke with blank blank at the Memorial Gym. At the substation. Blank is currently at the blank for the fraternity blank blank. I asked R if he could walk me through what he did on the night of 11/22/2022 and the early morning hours of 11/13/2022. R said at about 18:30 he was at a party. R said that the party was at the Tree House, which is an off-campus house for the sorority blank. R did not know the specific address, but said the house was near the White's apartment, which is literally right across the street from 1122. So that'd probably be the Alpha Phi house. R said that the party he saw Emily, who was with what? Who was with blank? Probably with Emily's boyfriend, unknown name, maybe Hunter. R said that Alon, I'm guessing because it's EA, was the only member of blank that he recognized at the party. R said that he left around, holy shit. R said that he left around 10 or 11. R said that he went back to blank and watched a movie with CD, something R and blank and blank. R said that he went to the corner club around 1:49 to pick up J, is that a G? Jack D. Oh God. And NR. So they had a private driver. R said that they were alone and not with anyone. R said he dropped the three above individuals off at their apartment off of King Road. R said that after he dropped them off, he went back home. Boy. This is now report. Like I said, I'll break all these down. Just getting out the initial stuff right here. And this is anybody that went to the house. Again, Aaron Morris wrote up a report. 11 or on the 14th. What time would that be? 3:40. Here's what we're looking at. 11/14, 2022 at approximately 1100 hours. I responded to 1122 King Road. In regards to the follow-up, I took note of who came and went from the scene, ISP detectives as well as Sergeant Blaker, Detective Vargas, and prosecuting attorneys entered the residence. GC arrived shortly after with her dog to attempt and locate a blood trail from the residence. Holy shit. Why did they wait? Why didn't they bring the dogs in on the... Okay, ISP entered the residence at 1125 hours, so 11. Detective Vargas entered at 1126 hours and left at 1226. Sergeant Blaker entered at 1127 hours, exited at 149 hours. Prosecuting attorney Ashley Jennings and Bill Thompson entered at 1130 hours and 1153 hours. Jennings re-entered at noon. Sergeant Blaker re-entered at noon, and Detective Vargas re-entered at noon. Blank arrived with her canine at 1316 hours. They all remained in the area until 1421 hours. Everyone cleared the scene, and and the residence was secured again at 14:21 hours. Jacob. He wrote his report on 11:15 at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. On November 12th, 2022, he was one of the undercovers, remember. At about 9, I began an overtime shift for a plainclothes detail on the University of Idaho campus and related areas. This patrol was for minors in possession, consumption of alcohol, along with other alcohol drug offenses. During this patrol, I and the other officer with me, Officer Rosendahl, only had our body-worn cameras. What? We were operating out of the Moscow Police Department Ford Fusion, which I drove throughout the entire detail. This particular department vehicle did not have a dash cam or any other recording devices. My street time conducted the plain clothing detail concluded at 3:52 hours on November 13th, 2022. During this detail, Officer Rosendahl and I made several patrols through the area of King Street and Queen Road. During each patrol of the area, we traveled on the north side of Queen Road, heading east. We wrapped around the building, heading south on the east side, then west on the south side of the complex. We then traveled north on the west side, turned west to the King Road or the Queen Road, and then proceeded to the King Street. So the same loop that. So this is the same loop. This is the famous loop. There it is. Boom. Okay. That is the same exact loop that's being described that Brian did. During one of the patrols in the area while approaching the southwest corner of 500 Queen Road, I recall seeing a darker colored vehicle with taillights on. This vehicle was parked facing south on the south side of the parking lot towards the west end. There was a short section of the parking lot which extended to the west of 500 Queen Road, south of 1122 King Street, which was where the vehicle was. Each time we patrolled this area, I drove the same route. During the final patrol, which to the best of my recollection was between 2 and 3 on November 13th, as we traveled north on the west side of the apartment complex, I saw several individuals approaching the residence at 1122 King Street. During this detail, I was looking for alcoholic beverages, open alcoholic containers, and individuals who appeared to be intoxicated. I observed the individuals as I drove past, but did not see any reason to contact them for our related patrol. I recall my view of the individuals being obstructed by vehicles and brush on the east side of the parking lot for 1122 King Street. The individuals were walking close a vehicle, which was parked in the northeast corner of the lot. As I turned onto Queen Road and traveled west, I continued to view the individuals. From my recollection, there were at least 2 individuals, possibly 3. I recall one of the individuals having blonde hair. I do not recall exactly how many individuals there were, what they were wearing, or any other details as I quickly looked for beverages in their hands and whether they were staggering from intoxication. Since we made several patrols through the area, I cannot say with 100% confidence I saw the vehicle on the same path as I saw the individuals. What? Upon review of my radio history, I contacted 3 individuals at blank Taylor Avenue at about 2:55 hours. To the best of my recollection, this was after exiting King Street after seeing the individuals at 1122 King Street. We cleared this contact at 3:32. Oh, no. No. You were not. He wrote this before we got the body cams. You were in the White's parking lot. This is not accurate. I know this body cam like the back of my hand. That's not accurate at all. That's not where they were. Ooh, boy. Okay, we'll come back. Okay, this is David Hathaway. The sequence number is 11, and this is voicemail and phone call from Redacted. Again, this is going in an order based on when they turned in their reports and they wrote them up. Okay. So that's the order that they go in. On 11/14, so his involvement started 11/14/2022 at approximately 10:42 p.m. Dispatch advised they were forwarding a call to my cell phone. My phone briefly started ringing, but then it suddenly stopped. For some reason, the call was forwarded to voicemail before I could answer. When the voicemail came through to my phone, I learned it was JS. Oh, God, Jack Showalter. The voicemail said, "Hey, how's it going? My name is JS. My phone number is blank. I just wanted to make a statement to you guys because I was close friends with Maddie Mogan. I was with her at the corner club most of the night. And then after we left, we wanted to go to John's Alley. And we went to stopped at the grub truck. They got grub truck. Then a car picked them up and they left and went home. I just wanted to make a statement about, I don't know if anything is helpful, but I was just with them like for a little bit. So if I can be any help, I would like to give me a call. Thank you." (10:42 p.m.) This gets sent to him. Shortly after I got the voicemail, Blank called dispatch again and was successfully transferred to my phone. At about 10:46 hours, again 10:46 p.m., I talked to Hoodie Guy on the phone. Hoodie Guy essentially said the same thing he said in the voicemail he left. He said that he was out with Maddie at the corner club until about 2:30. Hoodie Guy said several times he did not know who the other girl was that was with them that night. Oh my gosh. Hoodie Guy described the girls getting into a silver sedan. Oh boy. After they got their food at the grub truck, I confirmed Hoodie Guy's name, date of birth, address, and phone number. I also confirmed with Hoodie Guy he drove to his parents' house at blank blank in Boise. I asked Hoodie Guy how long he planned to be at his parents' house. And he said he was skipping the next week of classes and would remain in Boise until after Thanksgiving break. Hoodie Guy said he was willing to talk to a detective about his involvement with this case. Hoodie Guy said he does not have a roommate at his Queen Road apartment. Oh my God, we were right. We said that. His Queen Road apartment, and that he lives alone. My Lord. My God. Oh. I recorded our conversation with my dash cam and body worn camera. The videos were uploaded to the WatchGuard server. I attached the audio file of the voicemail. Oh boy. All right, give me a second here. I got to use the restroom. All right. We're back here. Just needed to get water as well. Gosh, my throat's going to be dry. Okay. Wow. Okay. Again, this is the first time that I'm reading some of this. I downloaded all the supplementals, printed them all, and usually I read stuff. I have not even had a chance. Like, me doing this with you guys is me for the first time, like, reading it. So when I will go through then and I'll start putting together a couple different things with Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. But this up here, just so everybody knows, this is when the report was written. Okay, that's not the date that he did anything. It's when the report was written. So what you're going to start seeing here is that, like Gunderson, for example, he wrote his report at 7:22 in the morning, but he's going to be talking about what he did on, certain days and times that would be not at that time, but it's just when it was wrote. Okay. So again, this is Gunderson. And he wrote this on the 15th at 7:22 in the morning. Now, hold on one second. One thing I want to say is that, okay. This was the synopsis. This was the general narrative outline that I'm going to review first and then go back to that. This is what I left out. So this is technically number 1, but they don't write the number 1. They just say it's the general narrative outline, and that's what means, number 1. So okay. And so the reason I'm showing you this is because Gunderson wrote this one. So the one that I'm going to read next is the second one, and that's why I came back to this. So here we go. This is the general narrative. And then after that, they're considered like supplemental reports. So Gunderson says that on 11/13/2022 at approximately 11:56, MPD officers responded to an unconscious. Hold on, I'm going to make this clear. Okay. An unconscious call. The reporting party, later identified as BF, reported her roommate was passed out, not conscious, and not breathing. As I was preparing to leave the station, Officer Nunes, who was already on scene, advised of a likely homicide and asked for an additional unit or additional units. While I was en route, Officer Nunes advised he had located 2 additional victims. The victims were later identified as Kaylee, Ethan, Xana, and Maddie. Moscow EMS was asked to stage and not respond to the scene unless requested. So what it means to stage is you pick an area close by and you're waiting there. That's what staging means. It's a normal occurrence. But I'm curious where they did the staging based upon what the people standing outside have said. With that said, upon arrival, I saw H.J. crouching near the entrance to 1122 King Road. Jay was in obvious emotional distress. I entered through the first floor door, which faces north towards the parking lot. I announced myself as a Moscow police officer and heard Officer Nunes and Warner respond from the upstairs. When I got to the second floor, I saw a female covered in blood in the bedroom on the northwest side of the second floor. I believe this female to be Xana. I looked inside the bedroom. Xana was laying, and it was an obvious and intense struggle that had occurred. Xana was obviously deceased. There was blood smeared on various items in the room and all over the floor. There was blood cast off on the walls in various places, including above Xana's body. Xana was on her back on the floor in the center of the room, with her head towards the west. Xana was in her underwear and a long sleeve gray shirt. So not a hoodie, but a long sleeve t-shirt. Both her shirt and underwear were covered in blood. Xana's face and body was covered in dry blood. I could see what appeared to be defensive knife wounds on Xana's hands. There was a deep gash on Xana's left hand between her pointer finger and thumb. A particularly covered male was on the bed and also obviously deceased. I believe this male to be Ethan. The midsection of Ethan's body was covered with a blanket. Ethan's head wasn't visible and appeared to be between the bed and the south wall. If like you're like, hanging, leaning over the bed. There was some blood cast off and what appeared to be arterial blood spray above where Ethan's head was located. I proceeded upstairs to the third floor where I met Officer Nunes and Warner. Officer Nunes and Warner advised the residence was clear of any additional people. There was a dog belonging to Kaylee in the third floor west bedroom, which has access to a third floor deck. The deck has no exterior access to the ground level. I asked Snyder to quarter off the area and Nunes to start identifying the subjects that were on scene when he arrived. I asked Officer Warner to start a crime scene log at the front entrance. Officer Smith arrived on scene. I asked him to stand guard at the kitchen sliding door, which I later learned was ajar upon our arrival. On the third floor, I went to the southeast bedroom where Officer Nunes and Warner advised they found 2 females, whom I believe to be Kaylee and Madison. Both females were obviously deceased. I observed Kaylee lying on the north side of the bed and Madison lying on the south side of the bed with their heads toward the east, so against like the wall. Kaylee and Madison were covered by a pink blanket, which was covered in blood. There was a large pool of blood near Kaylee's midsection. There was blood cast off on the east and north walls above Kaylee and Madison. Madison appeared to be lying up against Kaylee. Madison had what appeared to be wounds to her forearms and hands. What? Hold on. Madison had a gash under her right eye, which appeared to go from the corner of her eye to her nose. Kaylee was unrecognizable as her facial structure was extremely damaged. Oh my God. I asked Officer Nunes to close the door to the bedroom so the dog did not try to disturb the scene. Right there, that is where Ann Taylor is saying, how did this happen? That the dog was in a room, in a bedroom, where the door was open. Other than that action, MPD patrol officers left the scene as it was found. I was later confirmed with Officer Nunes that no EMS personnel entered the prior to my arrival. See, you guys, it's hard to read these when what kind of sentence is that? I was later confirmed with Officer Nunes that no EMS personnel entered the prior to my arrival. The house. I contacted Captain Barrett and advised him of the situation. Barrett said that he would activate detectives and get more resources en route. Once Detective Sergeant Lawrence arrived on scene, he requested one of the responding patrol officers begin writing a search warrant, which was assigned to Officer Nunes. Snyder was assigned to take initial photos of the scene while Officer Smith and Warner remained in security at both entrances. I collected the dog from the third floor and took it outside. Oh boy. Latah County Sheriff's Office Deputy Olson transported the dog to the Humane Society on my behalf. Officer Nunes was interviewing a large group of individuals which were associated with the residents. Officer Nunes asked that I finish getting contact information from the individuals. I contacted and later added the following names to this call: BF, DM, HJ, HC, MC, EA, JL, LB, JD, and JM. So I think I know who all those people are. Oh, once those individuals and their names were collected, they responded to the Moscow Police Department to be interviewed by detectives. I assisted with a canvass of the area and was assigned the southernmost apartments at 500 Queen Road, is what I'm guessing, that building. I contacted the residents following apartments whom claimed they didn't hear anything. And it was like redacted, and blank. I attempted contact at the following apartments with no response, blank and blank. There is no apartment, blank or blank. I remained associated with the call and assisted with the scene security until approximately 18. Wait, do you know how many apartments there are at Queen? What the hell? Oh, boy. All right, so when this was wrote up, remember when Chief Fry saying, I don't even know that answer? This is all CAD stuff we're going to come back to. Now going back to report 12. I don't even know that answer is because none of these reports were written up. And he needed them to write them up. So, well, it sounds like Madison had defensive wounds, you know. Again, we'll break all of it down. I just want to get you guys so much of the initial narrative from the people that were there, and then things can be put together from there. This is number 12. On 11/14/2022, I responded to the area of King Road and Queen Road. I photographed and looked in the 3 dumpsters in the area. All 3 dumpsters were located on the street. I saw nothing of evidentiary value in the dumpsters. I photographed them and cleared the area. ISP later pulled the trash pursuant to this investigation. Some blood was located on the 2nd floor at blank Taylor Ave. Blank Taylor Ave is commonly referred to as the Whites and is a known party location. The blood was isolated to one area with no trail to either area. I photographed the blood and notified on-scene investigators. Officer House and I walked various areas around the crime scene looking for evidence. Officer House and I found nothing of evidentiary value. Wow. This was the other blood answer I was talking about. This comes from Roger Lanier. Roger Lanier did a canvas, I believe, but we'll see. I'm going to end this here after Roger Lanier's, and I may pick up late night reading at around 11. On November 15th, 2022 at 9:30, myself and Detective Mowry responded to the Corner Club. To contact the owner, Mark. This was a prearranged meeting to view video from the evening of November 12th to the early morning hours of November 13th. The purpose was to confirm that Maddie and Kaylee were at the Corner Club as had been reported, and to try and identify individuals seen on the grub truck video later in the morning, specifically a male who appeared to be accompanying them. They must have talked to Hathaway. Upon arrival, Blank already had the video up on the screen, and it was ready to go to the proper time frame. Again, I would love to know how you knew that it was the proper time frame. Those cameras and stuff, sometimes they can be off on time, but Detective Mowry began scrolling through the video, which consisted of multiple views and multiple screens that were all in time sync. We determined that Kaylee and Maddie arrived at the Corner Club at 10:20 in a Prius-type vehicle with one other unidentified female. The vehicle was determined to be an Uber vehicle, and the driver identified. Kaylee and Maddie mingle around the bar, but spend most of their time in the front along the bar next to the left end as you face the bar. They make occasional trips to the restroom and speak to several people as they mingle. At 12:22, Kaylee paid her bar tab using her credit card, which consisted of 9 well vodkas and 2 added juice. Blank provided a copy of the receipt. At approximately 1, Kaylee engages a conversation with a subject identified by the bar staff as JS. Kaylee engages in a conversation with a subject identified by bar staff as Jack Showalter. Jack Showalter is saying that he does not know Kaylee. Showalter was seen with Maddie and Kaylee in the grub truck video later in the evening. This appeared to be a consensual conversation, and it appeared they knew each other. At approximately 1:14, Mogan joins in the conversation. Oh my God. So for 15 minutes, it was just them. Interesting. I wonder if it is about, hey, so I heard you like my friend Maddie. Well, you know that Maddie has a boyfriend, jackass, you know? Again, this appeared to be a consensual conversation, and it appeared that they knew each other. At approximately 1:14, Maddie joins in the conversation, and all three remain generally in the area of the bar near the wall. Nothing stood out during that time, and both appeared to know Showalter. At 1:30, Showalter paid his bar tab with his credit card consisting of 5 cans of BTL and 2 kamikazes. What? Bud Lights, 5 cans of Bud Light, I believe that is, and 2 kamikazes. Those are the most sickest shots. After paying, he walked to the back of the bar, went into the restroom, came back out, retrieved his coat, and came back to an area near the exit where Maddie and Kaylee were waiting. Showalter waited in the background while the girls finished their conversation with others. Then they all exited the building at 1:37. The parking lot camera shows them walking away together across, then out of the parking lot in a westerly direction. They were all dressed the same in the grub truck video, with Showalter wearing a white or very light colored hoodie with a brown coat over it. While reviewing the video, we also recognized JD, who was reported to be Goncalves' ex-boyfriend. We did not track his movements in the video, but he appeared to spend most of his time at the opposite end of the business, seated with several other males. At one point, there appeared to be a brief interaction with with Kaylee that looked cordial and in passing. He left at 1:51 with 2 other males. Also noticed in the video was a subject seen in the grub truck video. I recognize him because of his unique sweater and long hair. Oh boy. He was identified as, he checked out at midnight using a credit card in the name of, showing 2 microtub. I didn't notice any interaction between him and Maddie or Kaylee. So he stopped the drinking at midnight. When did he leave? A third subject who was seen in the grub truck video was also observed in the corner club, but we were not able to identify him. He is a stocky build white male with brown hair and facial hair, wearing a brownish sweater. I did not observe any interaction between him and Maddie or Kaylee. Because the video file was extremely large, Detective Mowry was unable to copy it to an external storage device. We left the business, and Detective Mowry is working on obtaining a usable copy of the video for a closer review. Okay. Here you go. This is Danny Vargas on 11/15. She writes this up. I'm curious to see where her, remember she was out of town and wouldn't be back until the 14th. So they interviewed some neighbors. Okay, on November 14, 2022, I went to 1122 King Road with Sergeant Blaker to observe the scene. I walked through the house and around the outside of the residence, along with other investigators looking for possible evidence. ISP investigators were on scene, walking through a second time, looking for additional evidence. I walked around the south side of 1122 King Road, up the hill, and along the fence line for Walenta. The backyard for blank Walenta backs up to the backyard area of 1122 King Road. I spoke with SG at blank Walenta and asked for his permission to look through his backyard area, which he said I could. G told me he was a person who previously called dispatch to provide information about what he observed. I told G after looking over the area and through the residence on King Road, I would come back and get a statement from him. I did not locate anything of interest in the backyard of blank Walenta or on the hillside behind 1122 King Road, the hillside. That's going to be back over there where they think he parked. I walked into 1122 King Road and looked through the house with the other investigators. The following 4 evidence items were collected by ISP Talbot inside 1122 King Road on November 14, 2022, and turned over to me on scene. ISP took photos of the items in the places they were collected from. I booked the following items into MPD evidence. A copy of the evidence property receipt relating to these items is attached electronically to the case file. Exhibit 57 is a rolled $2 bill located on the desk in F2, bedroom 1 northwest. So F2 is, my opinion, is floor 2. And bedroom 1 northwest. And exhibit 58 is blue powder, suspected drugs, located on the desk in floor 2, bedroom 1 northwest. Exhibit 59, blood sample west wall, living room, F2, floor 2, living room, west wall. Exhibit 60, blood sample, floor 3, bedroom 2, northwest wall. I spoke with the following people who lived at Walenta. My conversations with the SG, MM, and TM, which now I know exactly what house this is, right? So they had 3 people living with them. SG told me that the following: he woke up a couple of times Saturday night. He looked at the clock. He saw it was 4:17. What? Oh my God. He told me the following: he woke up a couple of times Saturday night. He looked at the clock. This is the house that made the call. This is the house that did the noise complaints. He looked at the clock, saw it was 4:17, and said after about 5 minutes of waking up, he heard a dog barking outside from the direction of 1122 King Road. G said he was going in and out of sleep, and after an hour, around 5, he still heard the dog barking outside from the direction of 1122 King Road. G said his bedroom is on the far northeast side of Walenta and is closest to the backyard of 1122 King Road. G said that there is a motion light outside of his window and said if it turned on, he would have noticed it. She told me he has lived in this residence since January and has not heard the dog barking outside before in the middle of the night. The dog was still barking out there until 5 a.m. SG is one of the roommate to the brother and sister. One that's the Pi-Fi. It's not Steve Gunkovic, just so you guys know that. I next spoke with MM. She's the she's a Pi-Fi. She was interviewed by Fox. So I next spoke with MM again. That's not Madison Milgan. That's not Molly Michael. This is the neighbor behind. So she told me that on the 13th. Oh, this is the voice. This is Matt. I'm sorry. Matt told me on the 13th he woke up around 2:30 and left the house around 3. Matt said that he had an blank extended training day and it lasted about 12 hours. Matt said he finished his extended training day around 1,800 hours. What? At Buffalo Wild Wings? He woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He said he had a blank extended training day and it lasted about 12 hours. What the hell do they do at Buffalo Wild Wings at 3 o'clock in the morning? Was it an inventory? Training day? You guys, I owned a bar. What? He said he was with approximately 20 members and did not notice anyone. Who should have been there was not there. Blank did not remember hearing anything in particular when he woke up or left around 2:30 or 3. Blank did not hear the dog barking. I next spoke with TM. T told me he did not hear a dog barking at any point. T said he had been out at the bars the evening of the 12th and got home around 2:30. He said he sleeps with earplugs in. He said his sister mentioned she saw Maddie at some point at the corner club. Blank provided his phone number. Oh my gosh. 417. Wow. Blue powder. Blue powder. A $2 bill. Aaron Morris here. This was contact with the Women's Center. This is really strange. Oh boy. On 11/15/2022, LS and CF came to the Moscow Police Department substation to speak with Officer Rosinsky and I regarding an incident possibly related to the homicide that occurred on 11/13/2022. They stated on 10/21/2022, an unidentified white male came into the Women's Center and asked to speak to someone. Blank spoke to the male. She stated he had asked for snacks and appeared to be under the influence. She stated the interaction only lasted about 5 minutes. Blank stated that the male said that he had a female friend who was in an abusive relationship. The male stated He was afraid the female would be hurt by her boyfriend and was also afraid he would hurt the boyfriend due to the abusive behavior. Blank did not gather any names and had never seen the male before. I asked both of these people if they had any contacts with any of the victims. They said they did not, and they did not have any other contacts documented. What? On 11/15/2022 at approximately 11:50 hours, AA came into the substation to speak to me. I was told by Payne A went to the Gritman on 11/13/2022 to seek medical care for cuts on his hand. I asked A what happened to his hand, and he stated that on 11/12/2022, at around 10, he cut his hand attempting to cut chicken for a sandwich. A stated that he was intoxicated, and when he was trying to cut the meat, his pocket knife. Who cuts meat with a pocket knife? What? His pocket knife slipped and cut his hand? I asked when he went to the hospital. He read his wristband from the hospital, and he stated that it was on 11/13 at 2 in the afternoon. Blank told me he lived at the blank house. The laceration was on his right hand. He sent me a photograph of the injury, and I attached it to the case. I asked A if he knew any of the victims. He stated he had seen Ethan 2 times at parties, but did not know any of the females. He said the blank sister house was blank. He said it was a national standard, but he had friends from multiple sororities. You mean a national chapter? Standard? What? Blank ran me through his weekend from Saturday morning. He stated he slept in Saturday morning and woke up around 9:30. He said he went to the tree house, which was a blank outhouse located at blank Taylor Ave. He said he spent the whole day there watching the game. He said he left the tree house at around 7:30 and went back to the blank on Elm Street. Great. He said he was drinking all night and finally went to bed on 11/13. When did he cut his hand then? What? My gosh, wait, what? He said he was drinking all night and finally went to bed on 11/13 at around 4 in the morning. A said he was with his friends LM and CK all night. A provided me M phone number. Officer Rosinsky talked to M later at the blank house. M said he and A were walking downstairs at the blank house when A missed a step and fell into the window. What? Blank said at the time neither he or A saw any blood. Oh my God, what? This is what? Blank said Blank was cutting chicken and he saw the injury. That's where the blood came from on the 700 block. Wait, what? According to M, A was extremely intoxicated and thought he cut his hand while cutting the chicken, but M believed he cut it on the glass. Oh my God, wait, what? This is absolutely nuts. I'm sorry, but you guys, this is the first time of me reading this, you know? I just, this is... He showed me the window they found broken. I photographed the window and attached it to the case. On 11/16/2022, I responded to blank, blank, blank at blank Main Street. A person of interest. What? A person of interest, JS, lived at blank, blank. L confirmed. S lived at the unit alone. Yeah, this is Showalter. So he was a person of interest early on. thought he was in Boise. So he drove from Moscow to Boise. Wait a second. Wow. On 11/16, I responded to blank at blank Main Street. A person of interest, JS, lived at blank and blank. L confirmed S lived at the unit alone. Who the hell is L? They said they did offer free internet service to tenants through CC. What? L said they could not see who used the service. What? I asked L if any of their tenants tried to get out of their leases recently. What? They said no. They said S started his lease on 7/18/2022. The employee remembered S because his father was adamant on getting him the apartment. I responded to CC to see if S utilized the internet service they provided. The employee gave me a paper with all tenants from 500 Queen Road that used it. S did not use the service. Wait, so at Queen Road, your internet is included. So that would be that's kind of like at the Steptoe Apartments. Okay, she responded to wherever a person of interest that lived at, he wasn't with her, just so we're clear. She confirmed, L confirmed that S lived at the unit alone. They said that they did offer free internet service to tenants through probably Comcast. Oh, what is it? Whatever their internet is. L said they could not see who used the service. I asked L if any of their tenants tried to get out of their leases recently. Interesting. He said no. I responded to CC to see if S utilized the internet service that they provided. The employee gave me a paper with all the tenants from, and he did not use it. On 11/16/2022, I was asked to follow up on individuals connected to the victims or people of interest. The names provided were MB, DB, NFJ, what? And I called the Dean of Students office for the phone numbers of all these people. I called B first, who stated he was at his home in Boise. B and F stated that they lived together in Boise. I passed the information on to Barrett. I also TLO'd blank and blank. I got a number for blank and called him. He provided his home address is in Boise. What? Oh, you know who this is? That's that dude that I forwarded the information as well to B, Corporal Payne, and Corporal Barrett. On 11/16/2022, DS and JH from the DOS office came to the ISUB. Blank stated he had information regarding the homicide. Blank first stated the DOS office had a debrief to check in on everyone. Blank said, is this? Said name was brought up. He said it got him thinking because D had a recent care report put in on him. 11/3/2022, D emailed the DOS saying, had a few different circumstances in my life that have substantially decreased my mental health. On 11/4/2022, blank called blank. Blank said blank seemed distant, distracted, and sad. Blank also brought up the grub truck video. He said he was guessing, but he believed it was blank following the victims. What? And hovering around them. Blank also said after finding out that what had happened, Blank was more concerned with his dog. Is this about Jack the Core? This is no. Blank was more concerned with his dog. I thanked Blank for the information. I asked Blank if he was able to provide the care reports for Blank. They referenced Blank said they did not seem hugely concerned, but would attempt to gather them. What the hell? Oh my gosh. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Jack was not all cut up. You guys, Jack didn't have any cuts on him at all. That's not what that says. This is a phone tip. On 11/15/2022, when I arrived at work. So remember, anybody that's writing up reports yet that would have been there that day, like on 11/13, they just haven't typed them up yet. Okay, that's what I think is interesting here. On 11/15/2022, when I arrived at work, I had several voicemails on my desk phone. I began reviewing the voicemails. Most of the voicemails were tips on the current homicide investigation. Many of the tips were about the live feed from the grub truck. Throughout the day, I fielded several calls from people with possible information they believed may be of importance to the investigation. I received a call from A.M. A told me she was at the corner club with two of the victims. Ooh, I wonder if she drove with them. The night prior to the murder. So that would have been on a Friday night. She told me there was a college-aged male known by Madison. A told me the male was wearing a black and white flannel shirt with a black shirt underneath that had writing in white letters that said antisocial. A told me the college-age male who has been identified as, oh my God, remember, this is that Corey kid. Or this is the CB dude. This is the guy that had the nails. He was in the reports. He was acting creepy. She said he was not engaging people in conversation, and he was just staring at the girls in the group she was with. What? I thought she was there with them. Wait, what? A told me that CB had been grabbing girls by the butt and being handsy. Blank said she confronted this dude and told him to stop touching girls inappropriately or she would have him kicked out of the bar. At one point, Madison introduced her to B, to this kid, and told her she knew him. Oh, I know him. Blank said, this girl said she let her guard down a little when it came to B and was later told by Madison that she only knew B through class and a group project in which they had worked on together. Oh my God. A said a short time later, B was kicked out of the bar. This B kid worked at the Big Five sports place, and he was in her class. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is not anybody that's at that Sigma Chi house, just so you guys know. He also, at one point or another, he had a place in a apartment over there by where the Ridge vehicle was found. A short time later, I took a call from DJ Blank. Jay told me He works at the blank. Jay said he has a regular customer by the name of GP who comes in almost every day. Jay said P makes everyone feel insecure because of the way he acts and the dark things he says. Jay told me P lives in the area of the homicides. I looked up P, name, number, and the Spillman, and it shows an address on Constagna. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Oh my God. Oh, shit. P has had numerous involvements with MPD over the last 2 decades, some of which relate to possible mental health issues. Oh, boy. This is Justin Dean. November 15th, 2022, at approximately 12:48 hours, I spoke with the blank president. I think this is Sigma Chi, about the 1122 King Road residence. I asked H if she knew the people who lived at the house, or it could be one of the sororities. H said yes. She said they were a close group of friends who primarily hung out with themselves. I asked H if she ever went to parties at the house. H said she did a couple of times, but the parties were small. What? She said the roommates were a pretty tight group who didn't throw big parties. What? I asked if she knew about any drug use or cells from the house. Oh, God. H said that she thought Xana and Ethan may have used cocaine, but nothing big, and no one sold drugs. I asked her if she knew whether there were larger quantities of drugs kept at the residence. Oh, boy. That is true. They are smaller compared to the fraternity parties, I guess, and the sorority. I mean, the sorority's not having like a... Oh, boy. She said no. H then told me she was at the Corner Club on November 13th between midnight and 2. She said Maddie and Kaylee were also at the Corner Club during that time. H said that she heard a male was kicked out of the bar because he was acting creeping towards Maddie. I asked Blank if she had any other details about the male or the incident. Blank said no. I think she's talking about maybe she's confusing the nights. I told Blank to get a hold of me if she had any more information she believed was helpful. Number 18. Neighborhood canvas. Roger Lanier. November 14th, 2022, at approximately 10. I responded back to 1122 King Road to conduct a neighborhood canvas in the daylight. Chief Fry was with me. We started from the rear of the residence and covered the small hill area just behind 1122 King Road, right behind the residence where there was a small black bag that had obviously been out in the weather for some time. There was nothing in it. We searched up to the parking lot of Queen Road, then worked southwest along the hillside. Below the parking lot, we searched the fenced backyard of the Walenta Drive and continued west above a different address on King. From there, I was joined by Gunderson, and we went through the south side of King Road, around the back, then back west between Blank and Blank. I worked over to Queen Road going north, then between Queen Road and King Road out to Taylor Avenue. We crossed the open play field from Taylor Avenue north to Nez Pierce Drive at the crosswalk near Blank and Blank. We walked the pathway north to the WW1 Memorial Grove and stopped at that point. I returned to the intersection of Taylor Ave and King Road, where I met with Chief Fry again. From that point, we proceeded east along the south side of Taylor Ave, looking in the shrubbery and around the cars parked along the curb. At the entrance in the parking lot of blank Taylor Ave, I located a black vest lying on the grass next to the fire hydrant. What? A black vest? It appeared to be there for several days. I checked the pockets and examined the vest, but did not find anything of note. As we continued to walk east along the south side of Taylor Ave, I noticed or noted a large amount of trash and various items on the grass and in the bushes, including various glass and plastic bottles, pipes of various types, some articles of clothing such as T-shirts and underwear, men's and women's, and various papers and litter. All appeared to have been in the area for several days or weeks, and I did not determine any evidentiary value of any of those items. From there, I went south down Linda Lane and walked between this address on Taylor and this address on Linda Lane. Then north of, just all in that area back there, guys. And that's all I did. And I'm going to stop here on 19. This will be my last one for this period. Gosh. On 11/16/2022, I spoke with KN at the substation on the University of Idaho campus. I asked Kay if she had any special relationship with any of the victims, and Kay said she was really good friends with Xana and met Xana freshman year. Kay said she was also close friends with Kaylee and met her freshman year during recruitment. Kay said she knew Kaylee the best. I asked Kay if Kaylee hung out or associated with anyone with violent tendencies. Kay said no and expressed she was confused about the incident because what she saw on the news, Kay said Kaylee mainly stuck together with her roommates, blank, 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 blank. Kay said that Kaylee also hung out with the King girls, which were JTN, BD, and AV. I asked Kay if Kaylee was involved in using illegal substances. And Kay said, just coke, probably. What? What do you mean, probably? If you either you know or you don't know. What the fuck is wrong with people? What's probably? Either you know or you don't know. How can you make that statement? Just coke, probably. What? Just coke, probably. I asked Kay if she saw Kaylee doing cocaine, and Kay said no, but she knew Xana was pretty into it. Oh, God. Detective. Oh, boy. Like I said, I vet my people. Dave. Detective asked if Ethan was into cocaine, and she said she did not know. Kay said she didn't know Ethan that well. Detective asked if drugs were being sold from the house or if the drugs were more used for parties. Oh my God. This person says they they were used but not sold. Well, who were they bought from then? Detective asked if they were large quantities of drugs at the house or if the house was known as a drug house And Kay said no. Oh my God. I asked Kay if Kaylee ever mentioned about having a stalker or having concerns about anyone, and Kay said no. Kay also said that Kaylee never mentioned anything to the girls. What? Kay asked if we saw the Twitch stream. I asked Kay what she saw in the stream, and she mentioned there were two guys. I asked Kay if she recognized the two guys, and Kay said she did not. What? You don't know who these people are? Kay said her friend PC and somebody were at the grub truck and saw Kaylee and Madison. Kay said that blank mentioned that the two males were being weird. I asked this girl if she or anyone else recognized anyone from the grub truck stream, and she said no. I asked Kay if she was familiar with the fraternity members of blank, and she said yes. I asked Kay if there was anything mentioned why the males were labeled as weird. What? Oh, God. Kay said that she thought one of the males nudged the other male, like, oh, those are your girls. Go and get them. What? Kay said that P would probably be worth talking to because she was there during that time. I asked Kay if P spoke with Kaylee and blank. She said might have said hi, but wasn't sure. Kay also mentioned that SM hung out with Kaylee and Madison all night at the corner club. Who? Is that Zach McClure? I mean, who's ZM Zoe? I asked Kay if any of the victims had any issues with anyone, and she said that Kaylee was unproblematic and peaceful. Kay said that she can't imagine someone with violent tendencies around her. Kay said that she felt the same way about Madison. Kay said, if anything, maybe Ethan and Xana. I asked if Ethan and Xana associated with violent people. Kay said this because Kay said that Xana and Ethan were more outgoing and hung out with different friend groups. Oh, boy. Detective Dane asked if Kaylee or Madison recently had a boyfriend or an ex-boyfriend. She said that Kaylee dated a guy named for a couple years, and Kaylee and blank were high school sweethearts. Kay said was a really nice guy. Kay said that she spoke to Kaylee a couple days before the incident, and Kaylee said once she graduated, she was looking for an apartment in Texas. Kay said Kaylee met a guy from Texas that is already living in Texas, and they were going to be roommates. What? Oh my God. I asked Kay if Kaylee and blank were still together when Kaylee mentioned this. Kaylee said no, that they were already broken up. Oh boy. This girl said that Jay mentioned that Kaylee attempted to call Jay around 3, asking if he was up. Wait a second. So this girl talks to him. That's the only way you would know that. Oh, I mean, unless he told a group of friends, yeah, she was calling me. He was up. He said that blank said she didn't think that blank replied to Kaylee because he thought it was some type of booty call. What? Why wouldn't he then? Detective asked how they knew that Kaylee attempted to reach out. Good question. Reach out to blank. And blank said that because blank told them, meaning Jack D told them. This girl said that she thought that they found out after people were asking Jack D if he knew anything about what happened. Detective asked if Madison had a boyfriend, and she said yes, and they call him Schreiger probably, and said she thought his first name was She said they are still together, and said that she does not think that they had problems, and blank was a good guy. Detective asked what he looked like, and she said he was short, maybe 5'7", and balding. Great. Blank said that he had brown hair and was skinny. She thought that he lived in Coeur d'Alene. Blank said that blank was Madison's little. Bethany was Madison's little. This girl said that Kaylee and Madison were the closest out of all of the roommates. The detective asked if Dylan, I think that's what that is, if Dylan had a boyfriend. Blank said yes. This girl said his name is, oh my God, Quinn Kelly, and lived in Boise. This girl said that Quinn was nice and hardworking. This girl said that Quinn had epilepsy and was not a violent person. Blank said that she was not aware of any issues between roommates. I asked if Kaylee hung out with other males. Blank said Kaylee was talking to a guy named MB. What? Who was a member of blank? Oh. It was a member of blank. This girl said that they had a sexual relationship and would just hook up here and there. Blank described blank to be over 6 feet, brunette, and medium build. Blank said he was serving as vice president to blank. I asked blank if there was anyone else Kaylee spent time with, and blank said no, unless Kaylee met someone at the bar that night. What? Who is this? Who is this Chatty Cathy? Jeez. Unless she met somebody at the bar that night. Right. Unless she met someone at the bar that night. Blank did not know if Kaylee met anyone in particular, but heard a male got kicked out for being creepy. God, towards me. Like, yeah. Blank said blank or blank could probably have more info because they were also at the bar. This girl said that the last time she spoke to Kaylee was about 5 on 11/13. I think she means on 11/12. Blank said that Kaylee showed up with all of Kaylee's roommates at her apartment, the Whites. So this would be, 5. Okay. Kaylee showed up with the roommates sometime between. Yep. Kaylee said that they left sometime between 5 and 6. Yep. So they were just there for a little bit. I told blank I was aware of a social media post of all the roommates pictured together, and she said that was at her apartment. Okay, there you go. Now you know who this is. I asked this person if she had been over to Kaylee's house before. I asked if people usually the Wi-Fi, and blank was unsure. Blank said that they usually leave their doors unlocked, and everyone knows it's a blank out of house. It's a what? Blank out of house? I asked why Kaylee lived in a house with a different sorority. And blank said that Kaylee and Madison had been best friends for several years and spoke about living with each other. Blank said that Kaylee was still close with her freshman/sophomore friend group. I asked blank if she was aware of any cameras in the area. Blank said no. This girl was asked if she saw anyone in the area that seemed out of pace. And she said she thought while she was at her apartment and does not remember who, but said somebody mentioned about a random kid carrying a BB gun, but no one thought anything of it. What? Who is carrying a BB gun? Blank said that she has reached out to blank on 11/13 after the incident, but she has not replied. Oh, she's reached out to Bethany. Blank said maybe blank has reached out, but was unsure. I asked if anyone has reached out to blank or blank, and blank said maybe Emily. Boy. All right. We're going to pick this back up. Whoa. Told you guys this was going to be a mess, an absolute mess. An absolute mess. Yeah, do that. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. I do want to say though, a BB gun, bang, flash, fireworks. I don't know how I feel about that. I think of a flash. You're not going to see a flash from a BB gun, guys. No, sorry. I disagree with a flash from a BB gun. There is 314 supplemental reports. Looks like I'll be pulling a college all-nighter tonight. Again, keep the families in your prayers, please. With all this stuff coming out, people can say that they want to see everything, they want to know everything. I have one last thing I want to say, which is I give Dylan Mortensen all the credit in the world. To me, I reflected for a couple hours and I said, who did I think was like, the most brave? And that's Dylan. I don't think that she was acting. And she had the courage to go in that fucking courtroom and speak for herself and face him. I think everybody's forgetting that it has nothing to do with if you believe that he's the right person or not. You can believe whatever you want. You have that right. But I personally believe that these people said what they thought they heard, they saw, right? They're also saying, we were drunk, we were doing this, we were doing that. Like, the only people that are putting people in bad positions, Dylan Mortensen, nor Bethany, nor anybody wrote up that PCA except for the police. The police wrote that shit up. Okay? So in these documents, you can go ahead and look through those and you can see that, go see what they said. But also the report isn't going to be the same as the video that would be on an officer when they're interviewing somebody. They're not typing up word for word everything that somebody said. They're going to say review to my body worn camera. The police wrote up that probable cause affidavit. The police. So all I want to say is that Dylan was 19. 2.5 years have gone by. And then Dylan got her ass in a vehicle and she went down to that courthouse and she wrote her own speech and she fucking said her own speech. Whether you, anything else, like, fuck all if you don't give someone credit for that. You're a fucking idiot. You're an absolute fucking idiot. So kudos to Dylan. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Fuck out of here. These people were all drinking all fucking weekend. They were put in a bad situation. Dylan didn't write up that probable cause affidavit. Dylan didn't lie in that probable cause affidavit. Dylan didn't know shit. And she was saying that. The police used her, in my opinion. They needed her to be, you saw this. This is what you saw. None of this makes sense if you guys have been listening to the past 18 reports I just said. A bang firework flash. Dylan thought that Kaylee ended up in Xana's room, for heaven's sakes. Think about that. It's because of what she's hearing, what she thinks she's hearing. You know how many times people in cases lie about drugs that have nothing to do with a murder, but they lie about something because it has to do with drugs? Remember us talking about that? Clearly they went upstairs because they said that they couldn't get the person that was awake on the floor. Bethany and Dylan have never fucking spoke. Never spoke. Never spoke. Amber Heard, to compare fucking Dylan to Amber Heard has sung like a goddamn canary, like an absolute fucking idiot. How you could even make that statement, and people were, I'm just like, you are a fool. Dylan's never spoke. People put words into their own mouths into a probable cause affidavit, period. And so we're going to have the documents, look at the documents, but if you're going to say something about Dylan based off of what she said today, you're the fool. Not me, not this channel. You're the fool. And I would hope to God the more information that you would ever receive in life, you are allowed to say, oh, wow, look at this. Oh, wow, we didn't have that. So now where does that fit into the equation? And if you don't do that, you the fool. Period. So let's see what the papers say. Everybody wants to know all these things. Read the papers. But Dylan and Bethany did not put those words in that probable cause. Remember, 2, 3, 4 things can be true. So kudos to you, Dylan. You're brave as fuck today. And you deserve to hear that. And nobody can ever take that from her. Peace out. See you back here soon.